TV soap news and spoilers say that in the annals of rock history, few bands have captured that zeitgeist quite like the Articulates, a group whose meteoric rise in the late 1980s was matched only by their spectacular implosion. At the heart of their story was Barbara Thornton, the enigmatic lead singer whose haunting vocals and poetic lyrics defined an era. Her songs' raw, soulful anthems of love, loss, and rebellion resonated with a generation, earning her a place among music's immortals. But Barbara's life was as turbulent as her music, and her story, it seemed, ended in tragedy. For years, the world believed she had taken her own life, a devastating loss that shattered the band and left her fans reeling. Her death was a wound that never fully healed, a mystery that lingered in the collective memory of those who loved her. The official narrative was grim. Barbara Thornton, overwhelmed by the pressures of fame, the weight of her own demons, and the fracturing of the Articulates, had died by suicide just before the band's dissolution. The details were murky, shrouded in the haze of grief and speculation. Some whispered of a drug overdose, others of a deliberate act in a moment of despair. No note was ever found, no definitive explanation offered. The coroner's report, if it existed, was never made public, leaving room for endless conjecture. What was certain was that Barbara was gone, and with her, the heart of the Articulates. In the wake of her death, the band's legacy was left in limbo. Their music, however, endured, generating substantial royalties that became a point of contention. Barbara's estate was entitled to a significant portion of these earnings, and with no other heirs apparent, her daughter, Leslie Thomas, stepped into the spotlight as the sole beneficiary, or so everyone believed. Leslie Thomas, heiress to a fortune. Leslie Thomas, a soft-spoken woman in her early 30s, had lived a relatively quiet life out of the public eye until recently. Known to the world as Barbara Thornton's only child, Leslie was thrust into a whirlwind of attention when the extent of her mother's estate became clear. The Articulates' music, still wildly popular, generated millions in royalties annually, and Barbara's songwriting credits ensured that her estate was a financial juggernaut. With Barbara gone, Leslie inherited not only the wealth, but also the mystique of her mother's legacy. The news of Leslie's inheritance sent shockwaves through the music industry. She was set to receive the articulate checker term coined by fans to describe the substantial royalty payments tied to the band's catalog. Estimates placed the annual payout in the seven-figure range, a fortune that would secure Leslie's future and elevate her status overnight. No longer the unassuming daughter of a rock legend, Leslie was now a figure of intrigue, her every move scrutinized by fans and media alike. With her newfound wealth, Leslie made headlines by purchasing a sprawling mansion in Fairmont Crest, an exclusive enclave known for its opulent estates and breathtaking views. The property, a modern masterpiece with floor-to-ceiling windows, a private recording studio, and a pool that seemed to spill into the horizon, was a testament to her newfound status. Social media buzzed with images of the estate, with fans marveling at Leslie's transformation from obscurity to extravagance. "She's living the life Barbara would have wanted," one fan tweeted, while others speculated about how she would navigate her mother's legacy. But the inheritance wasn't just about money. Under the terms of the Articulate's ironclad contract, Barbara's estate also retained full creative control over her music. This meant that Leslie, as the heir, had the power to approve or veto any use of her mother's songs, whether in films, commercials, or rare releases. It was a responsibility as daunting as it was empowering, placing Leslie at the helm of a cultural juggernaut. Industry insiders whispered that she was already in talks with major studios to license Barbara's music for a biopic, a project that could cement her mother's legacy and further swell the estate's coffers. For a time, it seemed Leslie had stepped seamlessly into her mother's shoes, poised to carry the Articulate's torch into a new era. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming, cracks that would soon erupt into a scandal that no one saw coming. A ghost from the past. The first whispers of trouble came in the form of cryptic posts on X, where fans of the Articulates began sharing unverified rumors. "Is Barbara Thornton alive?" one post asked, accompanied by a blurry photo of a woman who bore an uncanny resemblance to the late singer. The image, taken at a small music festival in a remote European town, showed a figure with Barbara's signature auburn hair and piercing gaze. The post went viral, amassing thousands of retweets and comments. Most dismissed it as a hoax, a cruel prank by a fan desperate for attention. But others weren't so sure. "She never looked dead to me," one user wrote. The whole suicide story was too convenient. As the rumors spread, so did the speculation. Some pointed to inconsistencies in the official narrative of Barbara's death, the lack of a public funeral, the absence of a body, the vagueness of the coroner's findings. Others noted that Barbara had always been a master of reinvention, disappearing for weeks at a time during the band's heyday, only to reemerge with new music that seemed to channel her inner turmoil. Could she have staged her own death, they wondered, to escape the suffocating weight of fame? Then came the bombshell. On a crisp autumn morning, a woman claiming to be Barbara Thornton walked into a Los Angeles law firm, flanked by a team of attorneys. She was older, her face etched with lines that spoke of a hard-lived life, but her presence was unmistakable. The auburn hair, the steely determination in her eyes, the voice that still carried the faint vibrato of her singing dulcet was Barbara, or so she claimed. The news spread like wildfire, dominating headlines and sending shockwaves through the music world. Barbara Thornton, the rock goddess presumed dead for over a decade, was alive, and she had a story to tell. The claim that changed everything. Barbara's return was not a joyous homecoming. It was a declaration of war. In a press conference that gripped the nation, she dropped a bombshell that left jaws on the floor. Leslie Thomas, the woman who had inherited her fortune and her legacy, was not her daughter. "I have no child," Barbara said, her voice steady, at least with pain. "Leslie Thomas is an imposter, a fraud who has stolen my identity and my life's work." The accusation was staggering, a plot twist worthy of a Hollywood thriller. For years, Leslie had been accepted as Barbara's daughter, her claim backed by legal documents and the testimony of those close to the singer. But Barbara's return cast everything into doubt. She alleged that Leslie was a con artist, someone who had exploited the chaos of her supposed death to seize control of her estate. "I didn't die," Barbara said, her eyes blazing with fury. "I walked away, and when I came back, I found a stranger living my life." The evidence, she claimed, was irrefutable. Barbara produced a series of documents, birth records, medical files, even DNA tests that she said proved Leslie was not her biological daughter. She recounted a harrowing tale of her disappearance, describing how she had fled the country to escape a toxic industry and a personal life in shambles. "I needed to disappear," she said. "I needed to find myself again, but I never imagined someone would take my place." The music world was divided. Some rallied behind Barbara, hailing her return as a miracle and demanding justice for the woman who had been robbed of her legacy. Others stood by Leslie, arguing that Barbara's claims were too outlandish to be believed. "She's been gone for years," one skeptic tweeted. "Why come back now? Unless she's after the money herself." The debate raged on X, with hashtags like Barbara's back and Leslie Leggett trending for weeks. The battle for the Articulette's legacy. As the legal battle unfolded, the stakes couldn't have been higher. At the heart of the dispute was control of the Articulette's catalog, a cultural treasure worth millions. If Barbara's claims were true, Leslie's inheritance seen her lavish lifestyle could be stripped away in an instant. But Leslie wasn't going down without a fight. Flanked by her own legal team, she maintained that she was Barbara's daughter, born during a brief and secretive relationship in the singer's early career. "My mother abandoned me," Leslie said in a tearful interview. "She left me to fend for myself, and now she wants to take away the only thing I have left of her." The courtroom became a battleground, with each side presenting dueling narratives. Barbara's attorneys painted Leslie as a calculating opportunist who had forged documents to secure the inheritance. They pointed to discrepancies in Leslie's backstory, including gaps in her childhood records and inconsistencies in her accounts of her relationship with Barber. Leslie's team, meanwhile, accused Barber of mental instability, suggesting that her years in hiding had left her paranoid and delusional. They produced witnesses who claimed to have seen Barber and Leslie together in the years before the singer's disappearance, bolstering the case that Leslie was indeed her daughter. The media frenzy was relentless. Tabloids splashed headlines like "Rock star risen from the dead" and "Who is the real Barbara Thornton?" across their front pages. Documentaries about the Articulettes saw a resurgence, with streaming platforms commissioning new specials to dissect the scandal. Fans took to the streets, some holding candlelight vigils for Barbara, others picketing outside Leslie's mansion in Fairmont Crest. The drama even inspired a wave of fan fiction, with amateur writers imagining alternate endings to the saga, some where Barbara reclaimed her throne, others where Leslie emerged triumphant. The human cost of fame. At its core, the story of Barbara and Leslie is more than a legal dispute or a tabloid spectacle. It's a deeply human tragedy, a tale of loss, betrayal, and the corrosive effects of fame. Barbara Thornton was a woman who had everything: talent, beauty, adoration, and yet she walked away from it all, unable to bear the weight of her own legend. Her return, if true, raises profound questions about identity and redemption. Can a person reclaim a life they abandoned? Can a legacy be restored after years of absence? For Leslie, the stakes are just as personal. Whether she is Barbara's daughter or not, she has lived in the shadow of a larger-than-life figure, her identity defined by a woman she may never have truly known. The accusation that she is a fraud threatens not only her fortune, but her sense of self. If Barbara's claims are true, Leslie faces the prospect of losing everything: her wealth, her home, her place in the world. If they are false, she must contend with a mother who has publicly disowned her, a wound that may never heal. The music industry, too, is grappling with the fallout. The Articulettes catalog, once a source of nostalgia and pride, has become a lightning rod for controversy. Will Barbara's return breathe new life into the band's legacy, or will it tarnish it forever? Can Leslie, if she retains control, honor her mother's music, or will the shadow of doubt linger over every note? A story still unfolding. As the legal battle rages on, the world watches with bated breath. Will Barbara Thornton reclaim her place as the rightful heir to the Articulettes' legacy? Or will Leslie Thomas hold her ground, proving her legitimacy and preserving her claim to her mother's fortune? The truth, whatever it may be, promises to be as dramatic and unpredictable as the music that started it all. For now, the mystery remains unsolved, a puzzle with pieces scattered across decades. Barbara's return has reopened old wounds and ignited new ones, forcing fans, family, and the courts to confront uncomfortable questions about truth, trust, and the cost of fame. We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. TV Soap news and spoilers for more updates on Beyond the Gates.